Hey everyone, it's Tuesday of the bye week. Welcome into the best damn pod in the land. Dan, we are still doing our Blitz to 500 for about another, I don't know, what is it, 11, 12 days.
Yep.
And we're at 440. Either way, we're giving away a gift card the week of the Marshall game. And so if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, get entered in for that $50 Buckeye Corner gift card. But Dan, what's up, man? How's it going? Fun weekend this weekend of college football.
Yeah, it was. It was an unexpectedly eventful weekend. It was cool, man. We're back in full go. I'm officially depressed.
Yeah.
On a bye week.
Yeah.
It's down. Don't call it what they're calling it. It's cheesy. It's a bye week. But yeah, no, I mean we had a great showing on Saturday. It was impressive.
It was.
We'll dig into that more. But before that, to Chad's point, go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It would really help us out. We want to be able to start doing some more things. And 500 subscribers is that first threshold to allow us to do that for you.
Yep, 100%. It does. It opens up half of Pandora's box. 1,000 opens up the rest. So, yeah. So, guys, I would appreciate that. We would appreciate that. So, Dan, I want to put a little feather in our caps. On Friday's show, I said, hey, these are the games that I think we are watching this weekend. We called them out. Iowa and Iowa State. I jokingly called it a border war. And I said, Iowa State, man, those rivalry games, jokingly, like they used to do for Michigan, Ohio State, throw out the records. Here we are.
Yeah. And I was surprised. I heard somebody yesterday say that was the first time Matt Campbell had beaten Iowa. I thought for sure they had beaten them recently. I mean, he's been there for a minute at this point.
I know they've come close. I know they've pulled off some other upsets, but I don't know. I have to look that up. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got that on my radar to do that. But yeah, I mean, you hate to see it from a Big Ten perspective, strength of the Big Ten type thing. But, it's Iowa. That's who they are.
So I guess, is Iowa not back after their 40-point performance in week one, and now they lose to Iowa
Well, you have to remind me who they played in week one. I'm assuming it was a cupcake. I know they won like 40-0. I mean, their defense is still obviously strong. They gave up 20 points, including 3 on a last second field goal. Offense, apparently struggled once they played a defense with a heartbeat.
Yeah. And then everyone, I feel like, that was paying attention at noon on Saturday watched Texas at that Cheaters up north. And so, dude, it's exactly what I kind of expected it to be. I think you expected it. Texas is deep. I said that Sark is building Alabama and Texas on our show on Friday. And they dog walked them, man. Like they could have put 50 on them if they wanted to.
They really did. And what's interesting is I think I predicted we'd see something similar to the Georgia Clemson game, right? Maybe close going into the half, and then Texas would pull away. It was literally the exact opposite. I mean, Texas came out. Michigan's got some problems, man. They got some problems. And I'm not shocked at all about what it looked like on the offensive side of the ball. I am shocked what I saw on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they've obviously got some first-round draft picks on that defense that have come back, but I think they lost a little bit more than I realized.
Mm-hmm.
And, that linebacker they picked up in the portal from Maryland, who was supposed to be all-world, was like graded dead last after Saturday. I mean, it's just not – it doesn't look good. It looks like Michigan from – I was going to go back to, the early years of Harbaugh, but, it was Brady Hoke-esque.
Well, the reason I mentioned Brady Hoke is because Brady Hoke always had 3 or 4, I'll call stud or elite players, and then just kind of and then everybody else. And that's kind of what I saw on Saturday. I saw, their defensive tackles are legit. Will Johnson played better, but I mean, he's Will Johnson. I think that, and then I think their backup running back is better than Donovan Edwards. I'm just watching. Edwards just looks like he looks shell shocked, Dan. Like there isn't this wide gaping hole for him to run 80 yards through every time he touches the ball from the offensive line. So I don't know personally. They've got 4 or 5 guys, but that doesn't, that takes 22.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, they've got issues. They've got problems now. And I'm not even confident they're going to turn it around, man. I mean, what is Wink Martindale doing out there?
I don't know what he was doing.
Emily, I showed him, I think it was in week 1. The game was on, and I told Emily, I said, he sort of looks like Shrek.
Mm.
And she looked at him. She goes, he looks like a guy that would yell at his wife in public at Myrtle Beach.
I don't know what that means. It must be an inside joke.
No, it just means that, he doesn't look like he doesn't look very balanced. I don't know what the blitz rate was. I know last week we talked about how they blitzed 60% of the time in week 1 versus Fresno. I don't know what they did this past week, but I was a little disappointed. I was hoping Sark would dog walk him in the second half too, but you can see like in the third quarter, he almost pulled back.
Yeah, he did.
And then, I hate to beat up on a college kid, but the quotes coming from Davis Warren afterwards, it's just pure delusion. It's like, I've never been up to Ann Arbor, but I feel like if I went up there, there'd be this fog over the whole area, and it would be like the Twilight Zone, because they seem to have an alternate reality to what's actually going on. Like that kid thought that game was close. That kid thought it was a tight game going into the fourth quarter. Like, I don't know what. It's just bizarre. It's bizarro world, man. And you know what?
Had a tutty called back too on a BS call. It was over before it started.
Yeah. And it was, but having said all that, it was absolutely freaking glorious.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that going into it, I was like in that mode of like, could Michigan somehow magically come up with like something that kept them in the game, and they just didn't. And yes, there is some kind of fog up there, man, because I told you when I was up there on vacation, they truly honestly believe what their beat reporters are saying about how nothing's going to happen, and that this is all the NCAA just hated Harbaugh, and like there's a lot that whatever's in the water outside of Flint. I'm not making fun of Flint, but whatever's going on, I don't know, they somehow believe it. But
their beat writers, man, like they're turning quickly on their beat writers, and they're turning quickly on each other and on the team and on the coaching staff and on Ward Manuel. Like they're turning on anybody and everybody. And now, the timeline is full of excuses. It's unbelievable. And the receipts that people have, like, they just can't get away with it. Like, they need to just go away for a season and let it, disappear, go into hiding. But
people, they still talk about Dressel. Nobody's going to let this go.
I had some guy going back and forth with me the other day as if it was the same thing as to what they did. But their beat writers had them believing that Alex Orji was better than Will Howard, and that their quarterback room was better than our quarterback room overall. I mean, listen, I do think that they've got a hidden weapon there, and they just haven't realized it yet. You are allowed to hop skip a pass as long as it's a backwards lateral.
Mm-hmm.
I had a play like that and when I played flag football, I had a hop skip to my receiver who was behind me, and then he'd act like it was a fumble, and then he'd hit a guy down the field that was streaking down the middle wide open. Maybe they should try that. They might get a touchdown.
Maybe try the fumble Ruski.
I don't even know if they could execute that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I will say, for all intents and purposes, Jaden Davis was somebody that I really wanted in the Ohio State class. So, I mean, he's sitting on the bench for Michigan, and he's nowhere near ready. But I mean, there are size concerns with him. But he reminded me a little bit of Braxton Miller, I guess, but not quite as explosive. But they do have, like, they did get him. He's just not ready.
Where's he from? North Carolina?
Yeah. So, and in the last one I mentioned, I told you that Boise was 3-0 against Oregon up to this point. And that, man, whatever they're feeding the Idaho kids, they like to play against Oregon because I thought Boise was going to pull that out. I really
Boise should have pulled it off.
Yeah,
I mean, if you break down what happened in that game, Oregon had 2 special team touchdowns. They had one that the guy literally fumbled. Now, everybody's saying it shouldn't have been a touchdown because he fumbled before he went into the end zone, but his guy picked it up and carried it into the end zone. So, yes, they
Isn't
did.
The ball dead there? Oh, no, it wouldn't be. If it was in the play, it was in the play. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Oregon got lucky, man. Oregon got lucky. And I'll tell you right now, if we had played Oregon this weekend, we would have absolutely dismantled them with the way we played on Saturday. And I'm not comparing Western Michigan to Oregon, so just stop. Don't get into the comments about it.
The same? Are they? They're in the same division, right? They're just messing, just playing.
But they don't look like the number 3 team in the country, which is where they started out.
They do not. And then one I didn't have on my list, man. Never in a million years did I have this on my list. I guess I should because I'm we're from the Midwest. NIU at Notre Dame. I literally wrote this one off. I was like, all right, I'm not even going to pay attention to it. And all of a sudden, I'm getting ESPN alerts on my phone, and then I turn the game on just in time to see Northern Illinois kick this field goal, and I'm like, what just happened? And so it's the Marshall game all over again for Notre Dame last year. Only this time they didn't play Ohio State beforehand, so there's no excuse for a drop off.
They played A&M, but
it's A&M.
It's
A&M is not Ohio State, man. And that game, the Ohio State game was so emotional too, down to the last play.
Ryan, going into this season, Ryan has caught a lot of grief, and people are saying he can't win the big game. But one thing Ryan does, I think he just set a record for a new coach. 41-0 against unranked opponents. What was the one thing we always had to worry about with Urban?
Not being ready and not showing up.
Yeah, I mean, losing a game that we had no business losing. Ryan doesn't do that. He hasn't done that yet. The only one you can argue that with was Oregon in 21.
Is that though the defense couldn't stop
it? It was, but I mean, we were a favorite and probably a pretty strong favorite if I remember correctly. But other than that, every other loss he's had has been in a big game situation, right? And some of them are about to get vacated. So
probably at least 3.
Yeah, at least 2. We'll see what they do with the last half of last year. But I mean it. And then the polls still have Notre Dame ranked ahead of NIU, even though NIU's 2-0 and put up 54 points in week 1.
Yeah.
So it's like, at the beginning of the year, does it really hurt to say, okay, we've got a head-to-head reference to go on and really not much else?
Yeah.
This team should probably be ranked ahead of this other team.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. So interesting weekend of college football we didn't think we'd have. So I dropped the AP poll in our notes, and so you got Georgia, Texas jumps up, rightfully so. After beating what they consider a top 10 team, I guess for now. Ohio State, Bama, Ole Miss, Mizzou, Tennessee, Penn State, Oregon, and the U. So a nice mix of Big Ten and SEC schools in there. And then you have Miami, who I still think is a fraud, but we'll see. Cam Ward may be able to carry them. So Dan, where are you at with this? Do you think it's accurate, not accurate?
I mean, it's the beginning of the season. I think there's a lot of really good teams in there right now. Nobody's really playing anybody except for, let's look at that top 10. I mean, Texas obviously, went on the road and played Michigan. Georgia did start with Clemson. Whatever. Penn State started on the road at West Virginia, but then they struggled with Bowling Green for the second year in a row.
I thought Bowling Green was going to pull that out. Jeepers.
Yeah. I mean, Alabama struggled with South Florida. That game wasn't nearly – they won by 26, but I want to say they were losing or tied going into the fourth.
Yeah.
Miami's been impressive. I think they're the trendy, shiny object right now, but I've got word that Cam Ward is pretty much just running – whatever he wants down there. And that's gonna bite them eventually. You play up against a good team with a good defense that can contain him and make him throw. He'll have 3 picks.
Yeah.
So it's still early, I think Tennessee's, a sneaky team to look out for. One thing I want to do is
going 8-4 this year. So, and they look better than 8-4 right now.
Well, Nico looks a lot farther along than I thought he would be. Now, granted, they haven't played anybody.
No.
But we'll see. One thing I'd like to do, though, is I'd like to go back to last year and see if Texas leapfrogged anybody after beating Bama the way they did this year, beating Michigan. Wonder if there's a little bit of an SEC flavor there. Like this year, they're SEC. Last year, they weren't. I think they were ranked quite a bit lower last year and moved up, a relatively good amount. So I have to go back and look at that. But I mean, it's right now that's an impressive win.
Yeah.
When the season and the dust settles, that might not be as an impressive win as it is right now.
Yeah. So we do have a little recruiting news too, Dan. So I know that I told you I'm really shifting my focus to my 2026 class. I'm looking at, working on that spreadsheet. And I know Ohio State had some kids in this weekend, including a long snapper from Montana. At the game, and so they're really, their focus is on 2026 and 2027. Gherkin was in. He's a top offensive lineman from 2027. He has a bunch of MAC offers already, so he's gonna blow up, and he was there. So, however, I had asked Mark Givler of Buckeye Huddle a question about Micah Debose. I just wanted to know, are we really actually still talking to him? Is this just all smoke? And not that I don't trust other beat writers, but sometimes people, they may work off of an old assumption. I don't know. But what Mark said is that Micah Debose, after the David Sanders commitment to Tennessee, is the plan A of the plan Bs. So like he's 1B essentially. And that Taven St. Clair is, and I think we talked about a video of this, like he's talking to him every other day, saying how much he wants him here, like to come home, and we talked about the Ohio ties. But then he went on to say that Alabama has 2 out-of-state 5-stars who are more expensive for the cost of NIL because they're from out of state, and Debose is in state. Which, he viewed, in his words, more like a salary cap for the NFL. So, and the OSU is sitting on a really, really nice NIL package. I don't know what it is. I know you want to know. I want to know. We don't know. That was going to
go. They've got some unused money.
Yeah, we've got some unused money that was going to go to David Sanders, and along with some other nice things. And that also Micah Debose couldn't have known at the time that he committed to Alabama that David Sanders was going to commit to Tennessee. Because remember, we were kind of up right in the front of things with Sanders at that time. So there's a lot of things working in Ohio State's favor as far as, if he were to flip. And he went on to say, like, you're going to have to let the season play out, see what Bama does, see what Ohio State does. But I do think that there is mutual interest, as there were, if you're slipping notes to each other in history class, there is mutual interest. So I don't know, Dan, how do you feel about that? I don't like banking on flipping people.
No, I mean, we don't have a good track record of flipping people. I mean, last year we flipped Mickens last second, but we typically have a couple guys flip away more than we do flip to us. Yeah. Just because, number one, our class is usually pretty solid. I mean, he would be, my number one priority at this point. If he's got sincere interest.
Yeah.
We talked about this before that, I had heard he was a silent coming off of his OV to Ohio State. And then 6 days later, he committed to Bama at their official visit. And, I've been told that Bama is incredibly high pressure during their OV to get guys to commit. And then they just, they try to force him into it, pressure him into it, and then, do what they can to hang on to it. But we'll see. A couple other pieces that are out there is, Jermaine Stewart, or Jakeem Stewart, rather.
Jakeem Stewart.
From Louisiana. He said he had 2 big announcements to make. He's made the first one, which is he's leaving his high school.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we were both off on that one.
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting. Now, it makes sense, and it all but confirms that he's reclassifying. So I'm assuming that's going to be his second big announcement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting there to be some word. I thought there'd be word as early as yesterday, but he said Monday or Tuesday he would let us know where he's going. The betting favorite is an IMG, but it's probably going to be just somewhere that's going to cooperate in getting him reclassified is really what it's going to boil down to. I mean, I'd love to hear that it's Eds, or Ignatius,
Not IMG, huh?
Yeah, but that's interesting. And then I got to share a funny story with you. I know you've seen this, but we talked about Naeem Offord last time, and his father was quoted as saying, let's just see, how the first half of the season plays out. And sure enough, they go and lose at home to Cal of all schools. And Cal, that wasn't a fluke. Like, Cal beat them. Cal controlled that game. And so I posted the score, and I said, I can't help but to assume that this is what, I think his name is Corey Offord meant when, quote unquote, let's see how the first half of the season plays out. And I swear within 2.7 seconds, he openly replied back with a laughing face and a shaking my head emoji.
Mm.
So, I see us hanging on to him. I really do.
Okay. Yeah, the other interesting tidbit, Dan, I picked up is that Ohio State could take 6 wide receivers in this class.
Who do you think we're going to flip?
Well, I don't. So this is what was said was that if let's say one of the who's
Jerome
the kid
Miles.
that committed to Florida,
Vernon
Brown. Let's say he picked up the phone and said, "I want in." Ohio State would take him. Same with Jerome Miles. If Jerome Miles decided he wants to come to Ohio State, I know that there's a crystal ball for USC. They would take both.
I think it's Utah. Does he have a crystal ball for Utah?
Yeah, I saw USC recently.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot. There's still 2025 is not done, but the hay's in the barn right now, but it's not done. It's not ready to eat, but it's there, as they say. So Dan, switching to Ohio State because we are an Ohio State podcast. 56-0 over the weekend. I tweeted I usually do like 5 things. I think I did like 10 because there was a lot on my mind from my notes, but I want to get your opening thoughts about the game. It kind of ended up exactly how we both thought it would. But what did you think?
I usually try to take these early season, preseason type games with a grain of salt. However, I was really, really impressed with what I saw on Saturday. For them, they say the most improvement is from week 1 to week 2, but man, it's almost as if Chip went to Ryan and said, you know what, screw this conservative crap. I'm used to hanging 80 on people in games like this. Let me run my offense. And they came out with an open playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Will looked really, really sharp. He started 10 for 10.
Yeah, almost
for 180 something
legend,
yards.
Tathan Martell's record for number of completed passes of 10 in a row.
Yeah.
Buckeye legend.
I think the record there, Chad, is 100% completion record. I think Joe Germain holds the record, or CJ holds the record for most consecutive completions, but that's for another day. But yeah, he looked really, really good in that first half. And they were cooking, man. I mean, he was on point. The offensive line was absolutely phenomenal week over week. The running backs ran hard. There were, the receivers were blocking. There was just so much to be positive about for the second game of the year against the Cupcake. I was really surprised, man. I feel really, really good. What are you laughing about?
Well, we were both really wrong. So Kyle McCord has the completion number of completions at 18 that he set in 2023. But you are right.
We should have
completion percentage of 100%, but 18 against Rutgers.
We should have known that I mean, right then and there, we should have known he would one day be a Heisman candidate.
Yes. That's why I was laughing. No, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing about how wrong I was, and it happened to be Kyle, Honda McCord. So
yeah.
Well, sometimes you got to laugh at yourself, right?
Yeah. But man, I felt really, really good coming out of the second game of the year. I mean, way better than I normally would have.
Yeah, so I felt the same way. This is the most complete win I've seen in a while, even with preseason games. Going back last year to a couple of the preseason games, the Toledo game and such. Like Toledo still moved the ball, and DeQuan Finn, had a pretty decent ball game for Toledo, the quarterback. So and then Western Kentucky came to town and still put 26 on us, I believe, last year. Now it was a blowout, but usually when you for me, when they put the second team defense and stuff in, they give up some points even if we have a shutout. Well, they didn't. And that defense is deep, and I put that on, in my thoughts. Like that defense is deep, and I think I was texting you about that, how deep they were. So, I thought Will looked comfortable. The couple, I will say when he threw that pass to Thurman, on that post route, I as soon as he threw it, I said it's late, and it was. But again, that can get cleaned up. He was like a half a second to a second late on that throw, and you've got to anyways. But I thought overall the running game looked better. The offensive line looked like they were in sync. Austin Ceravell looked like a rock star. Seth McLaughlin, man, I'll tell you what, I think I could write I could just write a book about Seth McLaughlin right now, because I feel like he was the missing piece, man. Like that, I know that I feel like he's going to end up being the steal of the portal. And I think he could be in serious consideration for the Remington by the end of the year.
You can just tell that that line is already starting to respond to him. I wouldn't be shocked if he wasn't the catalyst for the improvement week over week.
Yeah.
But his ability to, get off his first man, get to the second level. There's one play, I got a screenshot of it. I think I sent it to you, where he's literally blocking two guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if you imagine a two padded sled, and he had a forearm and a shoulder into each one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And you would talk about the depth on the defense. The offense, when Devin came in there on that scoring drive, they were flawless, man. And that was, I think, the only holdover from the first team was Ceravell.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else got subbed out and played that entire drive.
Mahalski was in there for sure.
They all got subbed out and played the entire drive. It was Mahalski, Hinsman, Montgomery.
Yeah, Monty was in
there. And I want to say George.
Yeah. Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was impressive, and, I'm going to give shout out to my boy, Devin. That drive, that's the calmest and sharpest he's looked in the very limited action he's had. People don't realize the most he's ever played in a game was 3 series in a row, and it was the Missouri game.
Yeah.
And he still only played 2 series. Now the second series, it got derailed, by that penalty. I know there were some people on the timeline and in chats not understanding why he threw to a running back on like 3rd and 20. Well, it was a running back screen. Knuckleheads, pay attention. Like it was a called running back screen. But I mean, I thought from top to bottom, those guys wanted that shutout. It was awesome. Yeah. And let's put things in perspective. Like we didn't feel this good coming out of week 1 and we put up 52 points. Like we won 52-6. It's not because we won 56-0 against these guys. It was the execution.
Yeah. The way
that I saw
start to finish
that had me excited.
Yeah, that's what I said. I meant it. Like this is the most complete game I've seen them play probably since 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like all 6 phases of the game, start to finish, from before the ball kicked off to the end of the game. I thought, this looks good.
There was one. There was one moment.
Well, I'll talk about that. I will. I'll bring it up.
Are we talking about JB?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, we just talking about it now. So, 2 weeks in a row, errors on kickoff returns. So, against Akron, he fair catches that one along the sideline that he should have just let go out of bounds. And then, and this is just an education thing. Like, he didn't know that if the ball hits the ground and then you fair catch it, you get the ball where it landed and you fair caught it instead of taking it.
As long as you field it. I mean, thank God he fielded, because it's a lot. Even if he fair caught it, if it hits the ground and he never secures it, it's a live ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, for him to fair catch a ball and let it bounce 10 yards in front of him, fortunately it went to him, because I can't help but to think, and maybe this is me being cynical, but if that ball hit the ground and just stayed there, I'm willing to bet that he thought the fair catch would have made it a dead ball and they would have recovered it and we would have lost our shutout.
Yeah.
But regardless,
mental errors.
You're the fastest straight line guy on the team, apparently. Run up and catch the dang ball.
Yeah. Mental errors for sure. It was frustrating, even for me. As much as I root for Jaden, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Why did we do that?
Well, I remember we were texting each other and you're like, I missed it. What happened? And I told you, and like, oh man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because that was like right after halftime, right? I just put my kids to bed. Yeah. The eternal struggle of young kids and night games. So, and why is daddy staying up and I have to go to bed? So,
I mean, it took everything I could to stay awake through the second half, and I'm an hour behind you.
I have two other things on offense, and then we can talk about a couple quick hitters. First is Brandon Ennis, dude. Holy cow, is that kid elite? Oh my goodness!
Guy,
like, I texted it to you, like, Brandon Ennis is elite. I feel bad that he's not seeing the field more on offense, because that he deserves it. And I was trying to think of a comp, and this is probably terrible, but he kind of just stature and frame wise reminds me of Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like, he's not 6'3" like some of these other guys. He's typically he's more built for the slot. He's a thicker dude, and he just makes plays. I like him. I need inject him in my veins.
Wasn't my comp for him during the offseason Hines Ward?
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was him and not a Mecca, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think he's a little more dynamic. I don't know if he's got let me rephrase this. I think he is faster than people give him credit for, but I still don't know if he's got the he doesn't have the straight line speed of JJ, or I would say even Carnell. But man, he's got some jitter in him.
Yep. Well, there's that old term that I like to use. He's quick, not fast.
Yeah.
There's a difference. And but his route running, dude, oh my goodness, he's so crisp. And there was a one play that just and it might have been a pass even from Devin Brown, but he ran a hitch, and it was like a 12-yard hitch. He knew exactly where the line of scrimmage was. The defender and the ball almost got there simultaneously. He made it look easy. Yeah. Caught the ball and just kind of fell forward for a first down. And I was like, dang, man, nice play, bro.
Yeah.
I like it. And then I want to ask you about Q. So I don't know if Q was a little starstruck in game one against Akron. I know the O-line wasn't great, but that looked like a different running back on Saturday night. I don't know what happened during the week, but he looked like a completely different kid.
I think it was a combination of all of the above. I do think that he was a little, taking it. I think a lot of those guys were that first week.
Yeah.
I do think that obviously the offensive line was significantly better. The receiver blocking, the tight end blocking was significantly better. The scheme was significantly better. Man, I can't wait till we see him and Trey in the backfield at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see it against Oregon.
Oh yeah. There was a couple plays that I was like, "Oop, yep, gonna see that again."
Yeah.
But there was an RPO where it was a play. It was a fake to the back. Will could have hit Tate on the sideline because Tate was motioning, and then
it was JJ's touchdown.
Yeah, and Jeremiah ran almost like he was going to do a hitch and then broke it off into a slant. And talk about putting the defensive back in a bind. He's like running this way. Oh gosh, it was the play design was incredible. Like it was
a hitch route. I mean, he drifted in a little bit, but I mean, if you watch that play, I want to encourage people to go back and watch that play. Like, it was mechanical, and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
Will faked the back to the left. He turned. He was looking like he was going to throw right to Tate in the flats. He read the linebacker. Saw, JJ was the right read, hit him. The part that's crazy about that, Chad, is that there were 3 or 4 guys already moving towards JJ.
Yeah.
When he caught that ball flat-footed. He caught that ball at a dead stop with people moving towards him, and he outran them.
Yeah, it was wild, man. Absolutely wild. Oh man, I love it. Like that RPO for. Oh man, that was such a. Yeah, it made me so excited. It really made me think of Tom Herman and what Tom Herman did under Urban Meyer for that one year, like just putting people in a blender and nobody knew which way to go. But wow, Chip Kelly, gosh, it's so much fun. I like having fun. Winning is fun.
Yeah, he's got a note up top saying trying to reconnect, make sure.
What about the defense, Dan? I said I thought they were deep, and I will say this. I owe Ty Hamilton an apology for calling him out against Akron, because I didn't think he really showed up, but then I went back and watched the game. I'm like, okay, I see him a little bit. Man, did he flash on Saturday night.
Who's that?
I owe you Ty Hamilton.
Yeah, he was. I want to say he was silver bullet of the game.
He was.
Yeah. No, everybody looked great. I mean, the depth, the rotation. I was listening to the podcast this morning, and I think there seems to be a little bit of a power struggle on the sideline right now. There was one situation in particular where Ryan apparently was, had his arms up in the air pointing at Larry, and then it almost looked like Larry begrudgingly told Caden Curry to get in there on 3rd and 3. So that's interesting to pay attention to and to watch how that plays out. Is Ryan having to force the rotation on the defensive line more than we thought? I want to, yeah. So yeah, no, man. I mean, they just looked really, really good. Obviously, I don't want to be negative Nancy, but the deep ball that Howard missed to JJ was atrocious. I mean, it was bad. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know why he couldn't get that ball to him. Now, on the bright side, it looked like he gave a damn. Will cared. Like, he knew it. He recognized it right away. He showed some emotion. He was pissed off at himself. We didn't see that. We didn't see that last year.
No, I mean, looking at it as a rube, I'll just call myself a rube when it came to this. But when I watched the play, it just straight up looked like he just underthrew him. Like, he did not expect him to be that far down the field, and that's a game speed, judgment by Will Howard. I think I know he has the arm to get it there. The one that weirded me out was the one that came off his hand real weird and just kind of fluttered out of bounds, like he just lost it.
Yeah, it almost looked like it was a wet ball, a sweaty ball, or something. And it just
sweaty palms. I wrote tiny hands, like I just jokingly, but yeah, I that one that he had a couple mistakes, no doubt about it. Two big takeaways for me as we finish up. I like the rotation on the defense. I think Arvell Reese, and I hope he plays a lot more. I think he's going to end up probably being the best linebacker out of that group that they brought in. So him and Gabe Powers and some of the others. So I like Arvell Reese, and I want to see him play a little more.
I want to say he had the 3rd most snaps. He had the most snaps behind Sonny and Cody.
Yeah.
I mean, he had more. He had twice as many snaps as CJ. I mean, listen, the book's been written on CJ, man. Just don't think we're going to see him on the field very much this year moving forward.
Yeah, especially with the Arvell Reese stepping up.
Yeah. He's mean too.
Yeah, he is. I love his game. Let's see, what else did I have down? Oh, Aaron Scott's pass breakup. I'm glad Aaron Scott just got to see the field, again. So next year you lose, you'll lose Jordan Hancock, you'll lose Burke and Igbendosin. So you'll have a Jermaine Matthews, Calvin Simpson-Hunt, Aaron Scott, that crew coming up through the ranks. So
I can see them making Iggy a priority to bring back with a nice NIL package.
That could happen. Well, Hancock could come back. He's a redshirt junior.
Who?
Jordan Hancock.
I thought he was done this year. I was talking about Iggy.
No, Jordan Hancock can come
No,
back.
because Hancock's one of the guys that could have left
Yeah,
this
because
year
he
and
was a
announced that
redshirt
he was.
sophomore.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, no, I say let me make
I
sure I'm
thought he
not
was the
crazy.
class of 21. I thought
He
this is
is.
his
You're right.
fourth
He's a
year.
senior. I thought he
Yeah.
redshirted though.
No.
Okay.
Because he
All
came
right.
in that year that Denzel had to start because our DBs were,
All right.
so
I'm
brutal.
wrong. He is class of 21. For some reason I thought he redshirted. I don't know who I was thinking of. But yeah, I like everything I saw except for that blunder on the kick return, couple misreads, but man, complete game, complete domination, complete control, never a doubt. 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Really, really enjoyed it. And the fun thing was, so my son sat on a couch with me, and a little known thing, when we're on defense I stand up, and when we're on offense I sit down. My wife thinks I'm crazy too, so you guys can follow along with that. And it was 21-0, and we were playing defense in the second quarter, and my son says, "Dad, you're not standing up." I said, "We can relax now."
You know what else was never in doubt?
What's that?
Buckeye best bets.
Yes, let's hear it.
2-0.
Yes.
So we're now 2-2 on the season.
All right.
Which means technically you're down money, but
yeah,
it was a 2-0 week. It's all about momentum.
Well, maybe you're even then if you're 2-2.
Well, yeah, but
bet the green.
Yeah, but you got the vig on when you gamble, right? So when you lose 10% more than you bet.
True.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, Dan, any final words, my friend?
No, just there's my alma mater, Arizona, plays on Friday night against Kansas State. I'm looking forward to that game. Going to try to get a little bit of a football fix during this bye weekend. And then, fortunately, they didn't make Marshall a night game because that would just be cruel and unusual punishment to, put a night game after a bye. Like, it's a whole extra day you have to wait, basically. So that's going to be a 12 noon kickoff Eastern Standard Time on the 19th?
Yeah, 19th.
No,
yep.
No, 10, 11, 12, 13.
No, wait. 21st.
21st.
Yeah, 21st.
Yep. I was thinking of October's got a 19th on a Saturday.
I'm glad it's a noon banger too, man. I prefer the either noon or night. I don't like 3:30 kickoffs. Always hated them. Everybody thinks I'm weird, but I just feel like it just sucks up. Like, you got to be home, and then it goes through dinner. And so, like, if you do the noon banger, you can go out to dinner or something. So, speaking of,
I don't mind the midday game. I mean, it's at 2:30 here, so it's all right.
Yeah. Hey, if you're going to go pumpkin picking or whatever you're going to do, it is a bye weekend, so you can go to the pumpkin patch and be super husband, and then you can watch football for a while again.
Next opportunity is October 19th.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Appreciate you all. You guys have a good week. We'll be back for Buckeye Friday, even though it's a non-football weekend for us Buckeye fans, but there's still football on, so be glad for that. You guys have a good weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy yourselves. And as always, go Bucks.
Go Bucks.